Hello everyone, Shawn, Kenney here, back playing some more StarMade. So I have to apologize for a little bit of an absence there. I did get lost hunting dragons in Skyrim. But back, and there's lots of stuff to go over. There's been a few patches with a few new updates and a lot of good stuff. To start off, we now have a personal weapon. I had to actually spawn this using the /give_laser. You hit tab and it'll laser weapon and then my name. That should, yeah, okay, so it gave me another one. And it doesn't do a whole lot of damage. You can right click to view. Yeah, here it is. So it does like 5 points of damage. Speed is 0.5 and reload is 150 milliseconds. You know, it's probably good enough to get to shoot through some hull pieces. Eventually, it does take a little while. You gotta. I do have the planet now. I'll take the planet faction off here, and just reset that. So, as you can see, it's not the fastest thing. Doesn't even seem to really be doing any damage. I was testing out some water blocks, and it was damaging those eventually, I guess. Oh, maybe because I have some shield on the planet. Alright, we'll go into build mode, just take it right off. Okay, so, did want to show you how fast it does take to blow up some blocks. I should have tested this first though, I suppose. Test everything else. Alright, we'll just pull that off, and any shields we have. Okay, so now we should, there we go. So yeah, I mean, it'll be good. It kind of like a little pickaxe for space, I think, at this point. Unless you want to start getting into shooting at other people. So I've mounted the planetary defense cannon. Made a little protective gantry here that we can go, and hopefully this will keep the important bits protected. I can access the AI module here, or I can be able to jump in it and man it. So, what else? They also added a faction permission module, and what this is supposed to be able to do is allow you to turn off faction. Right now there's no graphic for it in the inventory, but when it comes out like this. And so what this should be supposed to do is make the block next to it, all the blocks next to it, I guess, not count as part of the faction. So if we make this our faction home, and I've done a little redesigning on the stairs here. Actually, I should show you that as well. They've made some updates. Schema developers and the updates. So as you can see, there's now a preview block. Now I don't know if this was here before, but with what I noticed with the wedge pieces, and when you hold down the left control button, where you have the orientation here and you're used to be able to cycle through, the mouse wheel now does it. And with the preview, this is like just fantastic. This is fucking great. I made it so much easier. I decided to try and use ramps to redo my stairs, and it worked quite well. It worked excellent, actually. It was just great. The only thing is, like, the amount of spiral it takes in the size I have kind of makes the staircase a little impractical. I think there's been some updates to the Plex lifter. I'm not 100% sure. There's so many notes to go over. but I'll have to experiment around with that a little bit. But you know, I was just playing around with this and holding down control, allowing you to sort of just cycle through different rotations. This is going to make everything so much easier, especially using wedge pieces, anything that needs orientation. So I love that little bit, along with the preview. So we have that. We do have permission docking module down here I wanted to test out. Oh, shoot. I should have been in the, you know what, it's honestly, it's faster to fly up there than going up my stairs right now, so I'll just do this. I should have been in the build mode for the base before I drop down. Alright. Go. Alright. We have our docking permission. Going the wrong way. Here we are. Okay, so I want to put that on, and then I want to put on a docking module. So I want any ship to be able to dock here. Is you know, sort of just a general landing pad, and then maybe I'll have some security points where, you know, before letting them in or something like that. So what we're going to do is drop down, see if this has worked. I was having trouble with it before. I'm not sure if you need to select them. When I was, you can select it with C, but you can't connect it with V. I was trying, you know, selecting that, connecting with V, select that, connect with V. It doesn't seem to. It just seems to be the block next to it. Now this is just a core. We should, yeah. Okay, so doesn't seem to be working for me, but that is the idea. I guess once that gets working, or you know, I don't. Maybe I'm sure people will have many tips. People have gotten it to work. Where it works for doors, but it'll only work for the one square next to the door. So that's the only one that can be. That you have to click on that particular block for it to be activated. If you're not in the faction. This is a ship I've been working on. I'm not quite sure exactly how I want this thing to look. I mean, it's ugly as shit right now. But I was thinking, you know, with the planetary defense cannon, I was like, okay, what if we have a ship that's main weapon is basically just the main couple cannons. I ended up sort of playing around with adding another cannon because there is sort of a dead zone. In the center here is basically that same core. It's exactly the same core as what I had in the when I had this. This is basically the exact same ship. All I've done is just sort of strip it down to its core. The core block in here with shields. It's the 5x5-ish energy cube, and that's all filled with shields. And that became sort of the core for this design. And what I wanted sort of two powerful turrets, and what's really happening is that I don't have any power generation on the turret itself. All the power generation is on the ship, but there does seem to be a bit of an exploit, like that planetary defense cannon. It has no power generation on it either. It's like solid antimatter cannon, and I only have like 4 or 5 power generators on the base itself, but when it's connected as a turret, it seems to fire fine. Like, it doesn't have power, but it's able to fire and do just as much damage, and that seems to be working with these. Now, I certainly have a lot more power generation on my ship than I do on my actual base, but these turrets don't have any actual power generation on them. It's going to be interesting to see how it all works out, because there's going to, you know, I'm going to have shields and engines and everything on this ship eventually, and how the power generation is going to work in combat. But from the experience I have with pirates coming by and my planetary defense cannon activating, the base doesn't seem to be running out of power. I don't know kind of how that's working. But it does seem to be a bit of you can get a lot more bang for your buck if you're using your main weapons as turrets. It seems to use a lot less power. Anyways, that seems to be what's happening. Now I've had to add more power generation, but what's ultimately going on is I need more power for larger thrusters, more shields, all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. This might just end up being sort of the core unit, and then, you know, the thing is, start adding more dimensions, it's going to make it heavier and harder to move. Whereas this is still not too bad. Like I still need to add a lot more hull, so it's going to be adding the weight up to it. But if we just go like it is, with just the amount of power or thrusters I have, that's the other thing that did. There's now a thruster graphic, so not, you know, I'm going to have to add a lot more there, but basically we're fairly maneuverable even with just this. So that's like I said, I'm kind of stumped on how to make this look actually kind of neat rather than some stupid hourglass with this nipple hanging off the end. I don't know, not super artistic in that way. But I did want to go over a few things. They also added a new weapon. It is called the pulse. Where did it go? The pulsator. There it is. That's a weapon. I had to do a few console commands to get my stores to restock, since updating after this world was generated, and I didn't really incorporate it. Like I sort of, the pulsator works on the same X, Y, Z coordinate system, so that gives you the best bang for your buck. And let me see. So it's just like any other weapon system. So I was just trying to kind of jury-rigging it in there. They've added that since I was doing work on this, so it's sort of poorly incorporated, but I was just trying to maximize the XYZ coordinate space that it's going to take up. And what I did is just ran one line out here and had this center one be the output spot. So this is kind of cool. It does like a knockback. We'll have to go into the weapons computer. You can go here, and there's no real modification. See, it's taking X, Y, Z coordinates, and that is affecting the reload, the radius. So it's at, you know, I'm going to get a 19-meter pulse with 955 newtons of force. So that's, it's kind of like a knockback, basically, which is kind of cool. So we'll add that. I don't really have the antimatter cannon set up right now, but that's kind of what it looks like here. See if I can zoom out. It's kind of, unfortunately, even zoomed out, it doesn't work real well because I need like a better camera maybe for a better view, but you can sort of see it's not super huge. You know, it's that's why when I had it sort of just in the center of my ship, it was definitely not encompassing the entire area and beyond. So I've just sort of put it at the front so that if anyone gets in close, say, I can come in here and knock my little test rig here for missiles. You can see you gotta be really pretty close. And there it goes, spinning off. I don't want to knock it too far, because the next demonstration I want to do is there's been some modifications to the way armor is working for missile damage now, which is great. Now, okay, I want to stop this, and why can't I get out? Huh. Everything seems to have locked up for me. Oh, that's just great. There have been a few bugs lately. There we go. Or maybe it's just lag? What is going on? Alright, I might have to just cut and come back in just a moment. Alright, I'm back. Just had a little crash there. So I'm guessing collision detection is still causing a few issues. Um, so we'll leave that for now, and we'll move on and try out the new armor damage missile test here. So I haven't really tried this out before. I just set it up. I do have to do a little bit of cheating. I ended up spawning in some water to make basically some ballistic gel targets. But, you know, I'm kind of thinking like the survival thing is, and there's really not much as far as surviving in this game at this point. It's still not fully there. Definitely a lot of great stuff that, I definitely see the potential in this. It's going to be great once we sort of have sort of maybe a working economy. The factories are definitely working better. I'm going to find some more pirates though, and hopefully get some recipes as loot. So let's try, I just have sort of a real basic missile setup. You can still, as with all the other weapons, actually missiles have quite a few more modifications. As you can see, you can modify damage, distance, reload speed, the speed of the missile, and the radius. I'm guessing the radius of the blast. So we're going to go with just straight up defaults. And I'm working with a, what is this, 2x2 by 5 long, so that's 20 missile cubes. And so let's just go in and take a shot. This is just our control test against straight up water. So this is, say it didn't do a whole lot of damage. Maybe I could add a few more missiles. Because I think if we're going to be we want to do armor. I'm guessing that probably wouldn't go through armor even as it is. So let's try amping it up a little bit. Just add a few more missile blocks. See how this one works. Oh, okay. So if we look to the side, yeah, we can see, okay, I think maybe we need more. We need more missiles. So I want to make, because it used to get like a real nice sphere, and it kind of didn't really matter. It would just do damage within that sphere, and as far as armor worked, it really didn't. Basically, it didn't work, essentially. It does seem to be, it's calculating the damage out, so it's doing damage to surfaces, and it doesn't seem to be going further. So that's pretty good. Now let's, so we got a little bit of splash damage on our next target, but let's try it with the armor now, and see what we get. So that took out the armor, did the damage, but certainly not as deep. Let me try shooting it, maybe just see how far this would go normally, because we did have some damage to the previous target. So we want to lock on. Now this is just with the lock-on rockets. The dumb fires are, that's kind of what I was afraid of, but we can see that that would have gone in several squares anyways. 3. Say 1, 2, 3. I think that's fair to say. 3 deep. And then with the basic armor, hit the armor. The armor took up a lot of the damage, and it only went in 1 deep. Now, with the advanced, and this is the hardened armor. Let's see what we get. Okay. So that is definitely... Alright, so it's still doing a bit of damage on the inside. That almost seemed to go in further than the normal armor. That's kind of odd. but it didn't blow up. So, okay, armor is definitely being much more effective now, especially that hardened armor. I suppose, let's see what happens. We'll do a little bit more cheating and I'll spawn in one of these ballistic test blocks here. And we'll try maybe a double set of armor. I'm almost thinking some space might be a good way to go when maybe adding a layer of space between armor plating, but then you're probably trading off sort of your size, which will suffer your maneuverability. Hard to say. Let's try another target here. Just turn around a little bit, and let's see what happens when we have 2 layers of armor. And in fact, I wonder if this will work. Okay, so I just need some regular armor, and I want some hardened armor. But I want to try, if we do half, I have a center line, so we'll just do it this way. What I'm thinking is I'm going to have half of it with the normal hull on the inside, and then the other half with the hardened hull on the inside, and then vice versa. You'll see what I mean here. I'm not explaining it intelligibly. See here. And hopefully this will give us some information about how these missiles are working. So then what we're going to do is put hardened hull on this side. It's not perfectly 50%, but I'm hoping if we shoot it in the center, it should be good enough to give us an idea of what's going on. Of course, it'll be harder to see the layer, how badly damaged the hull layer on the inside is, but we can always just then pull them off and see what the next layer is like. But what used to happen is, basically missiles were the kill weapon. If you had a large enough missile array, it would just gut any ship. It didn't really matter how well you armored it. And if they've increased the ratio, the rating of the armor basically or something, it's making it a lot more effective. So there's going to be the trade-off, shields versus armor. You're going to want a bit of both. How well you protect your internal systems. Missiles are still doing damage internally, which gives you a nice bonus. That gives you a real effect. That why you want to use missiles. But I think they've been nerfed down somewhat so that they're not the instant kill weapon. And let's get the normal hull on here. I don't know, this may ultimately have about the same effect, but on the other hand, maybe it'll give us a better idea. I'm kind of thinking the hardened hull on the outside is going to be better. That's my hypothesis going into this. My reason for that is just from the initial test, it seems to do some damage on the inside, but if that damage is slightly reduced, then the internal, the lighter hull is still have a higher armor rating than say some internal components, and that's kind of what I'm thinking is it might be the way to go, and it might be slightly easier to repair. But then again, who knows? Let's give it a try. Okay, so I'll have to exit out of that. So we have a double armor test here with our missile test cannon. Let's give this a try now. So I'm going to try and center it as much as possible. Of course, the missile's going to go on its own path, but okay. What I suspected is going to happen. So we have the damage to the outer hardened hull. It definitely blew off some of the lighter armor, but it's not really didn't do a whole lot of damage. You know, it's definitely lighter damage on the hardened hull, but you know, you're losing some of the basic hull pieces. Okay, yeah. Oh, we did lose one of the lighter. So ultimately, you can repair these. They're severely damaged, and we ended up losing one. Now, do we have any damage to the ballistics gel? No. No, that seems to have worked. Okay. So that's interesting. That's good to know. And, you know, maybe even having like a layer of space between these two, that might even be the better way to go. I'm kind of thinking, because if the layer behind, if the missiles are still going to damage the layer behind the armor, then having a layer of space for nothing to get damaged. But I wonder if that force would just still end up translating. We could let's give it another try. What do you think? Let's take off the top layer here. Oh, I'm sure I probably do this faster with some of the advanced. I probably should get in there. We'll do this from the build mode, making things a little bit easier. Yeah, it looks like oh well, maybe some damage to the water. Didn't really show up looking sideways on, but looking here, you can almost see it in the glare of the light. There is some damage to the ballistics gel, but or the water, I guess. That's what I like thinking of it as. But it just seems to be some real surface damage, so that's definitely repairable. Alright. Get all the damaged pieces out. And oh, there it I already had it on my bar. Okay. And now where did the water go? There it is. Okay. So let's fill this back in here. And I'm going to need to take these layers of armor off again, though. Okay. I'm hoping this will work. I think it'll work. But we'll see. There we go. Okay. Why you no place? Why you no place? There we go. Alright, now ballistics gel is fixed. Just need to put the inner layer of armor back on. Now, we'll want to alright, it's a lot easier. That's looking a lot better. So this is the idea that you maybe have a little bit of space between various layers of armor, hoping to absorb the shock of missiles. Now, I could put the water in, see if but I don't want it to actually, I don't want anything, I just want to try this as space, see whether that's going to have a big effect. Oh, missed one there. Okay. Maybe we can try out our final test here. Center on it. Oh, missile, why are you... What the hell? Bad missile. Bad, self-guided... What the heck are you trying to do? It wants to be a star. It's its own star. Alright, well, that's... You can keep doing that circling thing. And I'm going to fire when it's not locked on. Alright, cool. So, we kind of have pretty much similar results, the similar damage to the outer layer. I died. Well, that... So, yeah, I could call this survival and wipe everything, but I don't think I'm going to, because I don't want to. It's my game. And, as I said, the survival thing is not quite fully there yet. Like, it doesn't... There's no real mechanic to it yet, I don't think. But let's, I should have known that silly missile flying around in a circle. It wanted to be the star. It got its attention. Ah, now it's... Okay, we'll have to... Well, thankfully it's far enough from where our test hit is. It shouldn't interfere. Okay, so we have damage to the outer layer, and definitely some destruction of the lighter armor on the outer layer. And let's just, I guess we'll just strip it off, see what we get underneath. So some damage has translated through. It's definitely doing more splash damage on the outside. So the radius is fairly large, but then it's... When it hits armor, it's definitely shrinking. So this has definitely worked out better. We didn't lose much less damage to our internal ones, and in fact, like, no damage ended up making it. It didn't end up damaging our hardened hulls there at all, and nothing through to the ballistics gel. So that definitely seemed to have worked. Just, you know, an extra layer of space is adding. And of course, this is a little more telling. I'm guessing the missile came and hit somewhere, must have been right around here, because it definitely did, seems to be the center of impact. So that's interesting. That's telling us it would go, you know, 3 deep in water. That particular missile damage. So that's one. Actually, I wonder, since I was right about here, I must have been the center of the impact. So, okay. And definitely would have gotten through a lot of water. Hardened hull was able to take it, even though it sort of damaged 3 deep. Well, it must have been far enough away that it took it on the normal hull, but that normal hull is definitely at a further damaged state. So that's interesting. I definitely like the changes to the missiles. It's going to make hull... I'm definitely going to try and incorporate this kind of design now, I think. Maybe have just normal hull on the interior and save my hardened hull for the exterior. Maybe giving some space in between. You know, it depends. Filling it up, I'm sure, is fine as well. Maybe a couple layers of harden. Like, you know, you can always say, like, that's, you know, of course, it's going to be better. Going to give you more protection. But if the missile's hitting the outer hull, then it's going to be absorbing a lot of the damage. There's going to be a lot less transferred through. So almost having a little bit of space, especially in some larger designs, might really be a good idea, because then it's easier to repair. because the internal structure is taking a lot less damage, you might not even really need to replace anything. You might have to go in and pull off a few blocks and put them back down to repair them. Whereas, maybe having the hardened hull on the outside will definitely be able to take some more beating. Then you can make like an Astro Tech beam ship to go and repair it, which will be a little bit more effective than saying having the lighter hull on the outside, which obviously is getting blown away relatively easily. I'm guessing if we go ridiculous with the missiles, a large enough missile array, it's probably going to get through everything. But having baffles in your armor design seems to work. Works for me anyways. So I think that's a good place to stop it for today. We covered quite a few things. Like we got from hand lasers to faction permission docks that didn't work for me, to maybe a ship core of a new large ship that I want to do, and having a look at the missile damage. So that's it for me today. Thanks for watching. I'm Shawn Kenney. This is playing StarMade.